Well, welcome back to our podcast today. We have Mr. Rizdian Isbintara.
Woo to
my
myself.
very good brother from ERA.
What's up, Akim?
People
Good to
say
be
we
back.
always compete, but then we got complete. We always collab. Non-complete. Don't complete. Like, don't compete. Collab.
Collabs. Kita kan like collaboration.
Jangan collab sudah, bro.
Ish, kelakar sih. Betul juga.
Okay, bro. What are the updates happening in ERA now?
What?
Big Intel.
Well, thanks to ERA, they are bringing a new link bridge on the level 1 from HDB to our building. So thanks to that, people will have a sheltered walkway between HDB Hub,
Propnex and
yes, Promex, and ERA building.
so it is the bridge.
It's the bridge between two companies.
Okay, we
or
need
two areas.
to make a video on that.
Yes.
Just now you said you want to share one case story. It was very exciting when I heard it. Can you tell us what is the story that is best?
Which story?
Just now on the way up, you say you got story.
Oh, yeah, so many stories. Now HDB legalizes the extension of stay, which is needed by some sellers to continue staying in their current flat that they sold to the buyer, to facilitate them moving directly to the next flat. So in this case, it was the sellers were moving to a 2-room flexi from HDB. So it was a direct BTO unit that was completed for them to collect keys. So they sold their flat to this buyer lah. So this particular buyer, it wasn't my case, but I've learned about it. So this buyer, what happened was that they declared an extension of stay. All right, but when we registered or submitted the case to HDB upon the purchase, right, HDB said the extension of stay is cancelled. The extension of stay is cancelled.
Initiated by the buyer.
No, by HDB.
Oh, why?
So both the sellers and buyers have signed an agreement regarding the extension of stay of 3 months, right? And all this has been declared or have been discussed before even we entered commitment into the deal. The reason being is the seller's new flat, the keys are not ready for collection after all. However, the sellers have actually visited the block and the unit for inspection. So the unit is ready, their next flat is ready, fully completed the construction. However, the key appointment date have not been slotted for collection. That's all. So based on that, they cancelled the extension. Now, I feel at this point, they should have called the sellers and called the buyers to say, look, before I cancel, can I inform you that we might need to cancel the extension because of this reason? So that way, it'll give the sellers more time to react.
When was this made known to them?
Shortly after the resale application. So after the buyers have option and exercise, and then we submitted the case to HDB, right? And then 2 to 3 weeks acceptance processing stage by HDB. Then they spit out the acceptance, whereby they will indicate to both sellers and buyers that HDB have accepted the case and given the completion date. Shortly after that, the next email came, the extension has been cancelled. To everybody's surprise, your extension can be cancelled by HDB if the next flat is not ready for occupation.
So how much were they compensated for?
Everybody wrote into HDB. Actually, the sellers part. This is more, the extension is needed more by the sellers.
Yeah.
So the sellers went to speak to the HDB officer and all that and explained that their flat is actually ready. So there was, because it was 2 different departments, to the eyes of the resale officer, this is the sales side that have not, updated the key collection date. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. And then of course, the buyers feel that, no extension is good. So now, I can move in upon completion date 3 months earlier than expected, you see. So this will be a problem to the sellers. They will have no place to stay.
You represented the
I represent the buyers.
buyers.
Yeah. My buyers rightfully was under the understanding that, look, the extension is cancelled. Sellers also rightfully saying we agreed to an extension. Like, we can't do without an extension. That's why we chose to sell to you.
Yeah.
And we've made a request for the extension of stay much earlier on, and all the terms and conditions have been agreed upon. We've reached a middle ground whereby the buyer said if this can be declared by HDB and HDB rectify the extension and recognize the extension, they are okay to continue the extension of stay. Of course, the sellers will be a bit gabra already. So they wrote in, they appealed to HDB, and then they wrote into the sales side, to the resale side. Eventually, thankfully, we got a very helpful HDB officer, managed to reconcile their buying of the new flat and their selling of the resale flat, and then approve the extension of stay to be acknowledged and legalized by HDB. So fortunately, that happened, and then the extension stay was re-implemented into the transaction, and then we completed the case on time. Yeah. Yeah, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Of course, the bottom of the iceberg, there was a lot of explanation that has to be done, a lot of a little bit of firefighting, to make things happy between sellers and buyers again.
On this note, I just want to highlight that you mentioned the HDB officer was very kind and helpful enough to facilitate the whole process or appeal process to approve it. Because sometimes people have this perception whereby HDB officers is there to get me, make my life difficult.
Yeah, I agree.
I was thinking about this actually. Then it occurred to me that it takes a certain kind of kind-hearted individual, if I can put it that way, or caliber of a person to want to work in HDB itself, because he or she knows that you got to serve so many people, especially you're going to be case officers, right? You got to serve so many people with so many different kinds of issues and challenges that is going to come with it.
Yeah.
But they still choose to, okay, it's okay. I want to serve the community or I want to serve the public, and in this sense, I'm okay to go through all this. Thinking, So I want to highlight that, that's not always the case, or most of the time it is. We should approach it in a manner that whenever we working with a HDB officer, actually the HDB officer is there to help us, to assist us, instead of making our life difficult. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think by and large, 10 over years in this line, I think we have to liaise with many different kinds of HDB officers over the years. I think by and large, most of them are helpful. At the end of the day, they want to make the case smooth, complete the case, like close the file smoothly, right? Don't leave things hanging out and all that. So because there will be like an outstanding work there on their system as well, right? So as long as I believe their mentality or their service to you is how your attitude towards them are also lah. If you approach in very professional, treat them with respect, and then explain carefully how the situation is and how they can be of help, I think they will want to help most times or not. It's always, to me, my mentality is never put ourselves, the agent and the client, like whenever we face an issue, right, it should never be we ourselves is one island versus the officer versus the client. Habis lah, right? We'll be like fighting everybody. No, when we have a problem, right, the problem is on one side, and we are the team on the other side, together with the HDB officer, myself, and the client, right? This is the job of the agent. We want to realign everybody, that make sure that we are on the same side. Yeah, maybe the system made the error, right? It was an automated reply. Oh, look, sorry, your key not ready. I'm going to cancel the extension, and then send a letter out to everybody without thinking of any human of speaking to the other humans involved in this, the parties of seller and buyer. Maybe it was a system thing, but therefore we should always don't stop finger pointing, don't start finger pointing each other. Always keep ourselves in the same team that way, and then talk to everybody in a very professional, non-personal manner, right? I think we should not take things personal. It's very easy to take things personal. You have to remember that the officer is also just doing her job. She has a certain level of scope and capabilities that's allowed to do on her end, Yeah.
Bro, I want to ask you this. How shall I put this? I hearsay.
Yeah.
Have you experienced this before in any of your cases for the past 10 years?
Okay.
HDB officer made an error in calculation.
Oh.
Not in the endorsement stage.
Yeah.
Financial calculation, financial plan. Not once, not twice, 3 times. On the day of completion, HDB call say, sorry, we cannot complete today.
Okay.
Not the buyer's fault, not the seller's fault. Or like I say, it's not the buyer's seller's fault. But HDB called in to say that we cannot complete this.
Right.
Because the CPF funds cannot be whatever. If there was any issues, it should be highlighted way before, right?
Right, yeah.
They came back to the seller saying that there was an error in calculation 3 times. Thought that it was going to be rectified already, but on completion day, sorry, please don't come. We cannot complete today.
Right.
Have you any similar kind of cases?
I've heard so many stories, but truthfully, I've been very lucky. It's not happened to me personally. Even if there were any errors that was done on the calculation, it was usually rectified or addressed at the endorsement stage. So when we submit the case or register the case with HDB, sometimes some of the errors is usually the buffer amount that we put aside. So when we represent buyers, we say the buyers we indicate in the application form the buyer wish to put aside 10,000 of OA in each of their account. And sometimes that is not reflected in the endorsement stage that comes out 3 weeks later or 4 weeks later. So all we need to do is write in and say, look, can you please adjust this accordingly? And that is as far as errors in my own personal experience. I've gone through it. So that's it. Officer rectified. Everybody see the new figures and everybody's happy to do the endorsement. I'm not as lihai as you, bro.
No lah. No, we're here to share stories so that
I know.
So that the listeners out there can benefit from this.
So normally you have to drag the completion date, push it back, so the funds have enough time to be returned and they have enough time to be deducted for the purchase, and then everything can complete. So what happened is we are supposed to, let's say, complete the purchase, right? Let's say on 1st October, right? And the funds were expected to come back 2 weeks before that, so that the buyers can use the funds to pay and complete the purchase. So let's say mid-September the funds were supposed to be back, but there were some delays from the sales side that was refunding the CPF. And the closest I've completed a case whereby the funds we have zero funds and we have to complete 1st October. I think the officer did all she can and make sure that we could complete without changing the completion date. But we was only 3 days behind that the funds returned. So about 3 to 4 days before the actual completion, then the funds were available, and then they did the deduction, and then without changing the completion date, they were still able to complete. But that was so many years ago.
I see.
Yeah.
No, on this note, suddenly I thought about all this is actually done supposedly by solicitors, by the lawyers.
Yeah.
It's either HDB lawyers or private lawyers.
Yeah.
What kind of clients would go for HDB lawyers, and which one will go for private lawyers? What is the pros and cons? Can you give us a little bit some comparison? What's the benefit of using HDB or private?
Yeah, number one, why is a lawyer involved in any real estate transaction is to take care of the conveyancing of a certain transaction, especially the transfer of ownership from the sellers to the buyers. So there's a legal entity that's involved. And what is this legal entity? It can be mainly two players. Number one is the HDB conveyancing department, or the word on the street is HDB acting, or you can say private law firm is acting on behalf of the purchase. So the private law firm also can do the conveyancing method. The two big differences, one is a HDB internal legal team and one is an external private law firm that does it. So number one, the charges are going to be different, right? Sometimes for a purchase, the HDB legal team can charge maybe anywhere between 500 to 1,000. It all depends on your purchase price. Whereas
and loan size?
And the loan size as well.
Okay.
Yep. So if what Hakim is saying is that if you do take a loan, there'll be extra charges as well, right? Different than somebody buying fully paid.
Okay.
Same for the law firm as well. If you're buying with a loan, it's slightly higher also because they have service fee to write into the banks or write into HDB, to the CPF departments, as well as market rate. I think they start from anywhere around 1,800 to 2,000 per month. Per month.
Per month, bro.
No. One-time charge for their legal service for purchase. Anywhere from $2,000 onwards.
Okay.
All right, depending on loan size, bank loan versus HDB loan and all
so
that.
HDB point of view, we can clearly see that there's cost savings there.
Yeah, there's cost savings
So
there.
if I were to pay more for private, what's in it for me, the consumer?
I feel that the main difference is mainly for convenience. I think for people who engage a private law firm, they may not want to attend the completion appointment physically or in person. So when they engage a private law firm, they could at their own availability go down to the law firm, sign the papers at whatever time they want during office hours.
How many times they need to meet the
Only
lawyers?
one time.
Only one
if
time.
everything goes well. So whether taking HDB to act for the purchase or HDB or private law firm to act for the purchase, they only need to come down one time.
And this is before or after the completion?
Before the completion.
Before.
Normally about a month before the completion or 2 to 3 weeks before the completion. So that's the main key thing why someone will take a private law firm. All right. And for a purchase, the legal fees can be deducted by CPF. Right?
100%.
100%. Okay. Right, as long as they have CPF available in their ordinary account to cover the legal fees, they can choose to deduct that payment from CPF for buying. For selling,
Cannot use CPF.
Cannot use CPF to pay for the legal fees.
Yeah, okay. I find this most useful, especially for those buyers who are very cash sensitive. Yes, you pay a little bit more, but if you have more in your CPF, then perhaps you can not touch any of your cash component lah. Because at the end of the day, you cannot deny that paying your agency fees is quite a substantial amount, and on top of whatever deposit $5,000 that you've already paid beforehand. But one other key factor that I realize is very, very important to some group of buyers is if they are working shift work or uncertain schedule, rather than taking time off or leave, that actually sometimes can affect the amount of income that they bring in on a daily basis, like allowance component or whatever extras that they can get, right, or their OT and stuff. Instead, the private lawyers will allow them that flexibility to, okay, you choose the date and time, and then to your convenience, like is what you mentioned earlier. You find this very useful for some of your buyers?
I find for the first time buyers, it's no problem to use the HDB law firm. It's cheaper, right? And then most of the time they can attend the completion appointment, right? It's only one appointment after all, one appointment for the biggest purchase of one of the biggest purchase of your life. So I think most of them are okay to take leave, to take off, to come down. They want to be there. They want to take picture with you, take key, get the goodie bag, and then what? Never go. Let the law firm have all the fun. No lah, they want to go. I find that so far they've been okay to come down, and those who opt the private law firm over the HDB legal team is not because of this reason.
Divorce cases.
Yes.
Don't want to see the ex.
They cannot see each other already. So this is for the sale. If the sale is due to a divorce and there's a court order to sell the matrimonial property to the open market, and sometimes it's not very what to say, of course it's not a happy occasion, but made worse if they can't stand each other, so they don't want to attend the appointment together, be in the same room or be in the same building at all. So a private law firm will facilitate that.
Yeah, I was all the way like, okay, HDB lawyers, there's no reason why anybody should take private lawyers, until I had one case recently. SBS bus driver. Very, very hard to take off.
Okay.
Schedule doesn't come out until, sometimes he needs to work extra kind of thing. And then, if he's on day shift, means he's on day shift, he's not doing night shift. So then I realized that, if he takes the day off, it's going to disrupt a lot of things. The day off, because of certain schedule, may not just be one day off. You need to take all the 2 or 3 days off. And that affects his income.
I see.
So rather you use your CPF to pay than it affecting your cash component income coming into you. So I think only on those kind of cases then probably
I think in that situation it justify taking the private law firm and not attending the appointment. What other things why somebody will take over? What are the difference between HDB and private law firm acting?
Just now, the thing that you mentioned just now, divorce cases. Any interesting divorce cases that comes to mind?
There's a few that's been interesting. One time, happy story. I was attending to this divorced couple who was planning to sell their house, and the ex-wife, contacted me and to sell a 5-room in the north. So I say, okay, I'll come down. Then have your SingPass ready. We're gonna enter CPF and HDB websites. I'm gonna do your calculations as well. I appreciate how about if your ex-husband can be there as well? If you can be professional and transparent, if everybody can be together at the same table, why not? It just moves things faster.
Not scared
I just ask because I think to be fair, there are many couples who divorce but extremely mature about it, very realistic about it. I've been able to meet divorced couples at the same table actually. Of course, they're not like lovey-dovey, right? But they are able to put aside personal matters and then look at this objectively. We are here to sell the house, so each other can move on to their new chapter of life. Me, I am just a real estate agent, right? There's nothing I can do to, I'm going to win more for the ex-wife. I'm going to win more for the ex-wife or ex-husband. I'm just a neutral party here handling the sale of the house. So I think last time people always worry, hey, whose side are you on? When they realize at the end really, as an agent, we kind of like decide who gets more of the sale proceeds or less of the sale proceeds, right? That is all already pre-decided in the court order by the judge and all that. The law firms will fight it out or they represent themselves. Okay, anyway, when I came down, there was another person there. It was just a happy occasion. So the ex-wife called me and then there was another guy there. So he said, okay, after we sell, right, I want to talk about my buying. This is my new husband. And they're all living under one house. And then the ex-husband also got a new wife. They're all also living under one house. So the ex-wife has a new husband living in one room. And the ex-husband is together with a new wife living in one room. And they live cordially in one apartment.
So you have ex-husband and spouse, more like partner.
Yeah.
Ex-wife and partner. Not married yet, I suppose, both of them, because court order not out what?
Court order already, divorce already. So they are legally married.
But they are okay to stay under the same roof.
Exactly, bro. They are mature. Very mature. Everybody was very mature. After we sell, ex-wife and new husband gonna buy another place.
How old are these people?
They are about 40 years old. Yeah. So
children?
No, both got no children.
Si baik.
Yeah. So that was unique. I think everybody is expecting it whenever we talk about divorce cases, expecting some fight and all that. No, there wasn't. Case went beautifully. Took some time to sell the house. It was low floor. Condition was very simple. But eventually we sold it. We sold it, everybody signed. I mean the ex-husband, ex-wife signed. They understood.
When you have this kind of peace in the world, bro, right?
Yeah.
You could collect. All the four of them stay in one house, the other house you rent out.
Can collab. All of them stay on one house and the other house cannot lah, bro.
Why?
I think at the end of the day, they don't want to move on and they don't want to see each other
Yeah,
as much as they can lah. What they're doing in the short frame and for the short-term period, let's be cordial. Let's put aside our differences, why we got divorced, right? We've all moved on. Okay, now you got partner, I also got partner.
Usually the man is very cincai.
Yeah.
That the woman is the one that tak boleh lah. The woman okay.
Aku tak boleh lah nampak dia punya muka kat sini. Kau jangan berani lah bawa dia kat rumah aku ini hak aku tahu. Aku masih owner Tak ada. So far tak ada lah macam gitu for this few of these cases lah. So
these kind of cases can use HDB lawyer.
This kind of cases where people are not fighting can use HDB lawyer. Yeah, can also. But eventually we did use a private solicitor lah. It's just easier. Everybody get their checks cut nicely and all that. And then then people move on. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, what about you? Any interesting stories about divorce cases that you have?
Here's one thing that I want to understand that maybe people out there can understand better.
Yeah.
You having more experience in terms of handling divorce cases.
Okay.
Like you mentioned earlier, court order is out. The split is already given 50-50, 60-40,
right.
Whatever the numbers are.
Yeah.
Everything else is laid out. That's what the court order is for.
Yeah.
Why in some circumstance there is a need to get two different agents to represent ex-husband one or ex-wife one,
right.
Or like what you say, sometimes you can be the neutral party and you handle
both
sides of the equation. Like, can you share with us both kind of scenario?
I see. There are some instances whereby a divorced couple will engage two agents, one to represent each side lah. So one to represent the ex-wife, one represent the ex-husband. I honestly find that it's unnecessary. However, maybe in that situation they find it necessary, and usually there's a trust issue already. There's a big trust issue. They mistrust each other already. So whoever you choose, I hate it already. I don't like it. I don't even want to see the name. I don't care who the person is. If you select Hakim, I'm not for him. I'm going to select Rizdian.
Skid, I want to say Rizdian, you just see Hakim.
Correct or not? So there already, right? Nobody's fault. It's just that whatever that have conjured up all this time, accumulated all the trust issues, they just don't trust each other's choice. Maybe sometimes also due to a lack of knowledge, they feel that somehow some agents can manipulate things according to one side. Right, more than the other side, not being fair or being balanced in their conduct of work. You see, so some do feel that, and they say automatically, no, you have your agent, I have my agent, let them talk out talk to each other how they're going to carry out the work.
On that note, do you
Yeah.
think it would be strategic for a couple, ex-husband and ex-wife, to choose their respective agents from two different companies, but yet still can work with one another?
Yes, I think it's a good move. That way, they don't have doubts about how the work was carried out and all that. You know, sometimes they're always lingering like, can I trust this guy not that was chosen by my ex-husband? No? Can I trust this person that was chosen by my ex-wife? You know, so if they can choose their preferred agent, and for the agents, right, I feel they don't have to bring their clients' personal vendetta to each other. They don't have to. At the end of the day, we can be professional. You represent ex-husband, I represent ex-wife. Let's talk it out. What is the target price both wish to hit?
Yeah.
Right? So let's say target is 600,000 for this 5-room flat. So we realign. Yes, the ex-husband also is willing to close at 600, but maybe there's some differences. No, the ex-wife insists on 620. Then we work towards each other. Hey, look, can we start marketing at a higher price and all that? So as agents, we talk it out lah.
I'm actually referring to us, bro.
Oh,
It's a unique position to be in.
Yeah.
Different agencies. One
Yup.
is in ERA, the other one is in Propnex. No conflict of interest, but yet the ability to work closely with one another and make things work.
yeah.
Right? So I mean, I know this sounds very biased, but that should work for most divorce cases. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think of divorce cases, which agent to represent you? Just think of Rizdian and Hakim.
Wow.
Hakim and Rizdian. Settle already.
Okay.
Right.
Very nice plug there by Hakim. Thank you.
No, just an idea lah.
Yeah.
You know.
The other day I had a lady who was a bit upset now, bro. She was a bit upset. She said, I called so many agents. None of them want to entertain me. I say, why? I asked them to do calculations for me and all that, you know. But that time, everybody asked for my court order. And divorce said, asked whether it's out. Oh, I told them it's not out yet. It's coming. Then they say cannot do yet. Why? Why got no court order cannot do, bro? Okay, maybe you share with us why. I later on I explained to the lady lah, nicely why maybe we couldn't calculate. Any agent couldn't calculate at that point of time. But share your thoughts, bro.
I always calculate for them.
Yeah, okay. You always calculate for them
Yeah.
for their sale proceeds.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we have the numbers to go and calculate for them. Only that we don't have what are the numbers to split.
Yes.
Right? And
Okay.
that's a very important component as well, because often during divorce cases, there is usually a certain portion of alimony or apa tu? Apa? Muta'ah Ida. So there are portion, is not a complete figure without the divorce court order.
Correct.
Because the divorce court order will show that, actually these are not your actual proceeds. You still need this amount to be a portion to pay back your ex-wife.
Yep.
You know? So
hence that's why I bring back to the point that why some agents could not calculate for a divorced couple without the court order being out. Because the only thing they can calculate roughly, and if provided all parties agree to share their CPF refund figures, individual CPF housing refund figures, then the only thing they can calculate is the sale proceeds, which is almost pointless because, like you mentioned, it is not the absolute figure that the individual ex-wife, individual ex-husband will get at the end of the day. Number two, without those figures, we cannot bring into forward to the buying calculations. So you do not know your buying budget because you are dependent on the selling calculations and individually how much cash proceeds you get. And then so I explained to her, look, Kak, bukannya apalah, why many agents may not be able to entertain you at that point of time because it's not a complete calculation. So I explained to her, now that the court order is out, and let's say you make a sale proceeds, jual rumah, 100,000. Okay, 100,000. Now number one, now we see the court order. The split is 60-40. Okay, so you get 60,000 and your ex-husband get 40,000. The split is 60% and 40%. Okay, on top of that, right, the court or the judge later rule on in the court order that the ex-husband needs to pay the ex-wife muta'ah ida of, let's say, around $25,000, which will be deducted from the proceeds or his share of the proceeds. So you got 40,000 earlier, right?
Yeah.
Now must minus 25,000 from his end, and plus 25,000 on her end. So she got 60K from the sale proceeds plus 25,000 of Muta Ida. So it becomes 85,000 now.
Yeah.
So now only with the court order is out, now we are aware of these two components, the split of the sale proceeds and the payment of Muta Ida, the amount. There's one more component which I think some people get blindsided. Okay, the second page normally is the transfer of CPF monies, usually from the ex-husband to the ex-wife.
Yeah.
And in this court order, right, the ex-husband had, on top of paying the Muta and Ida, have to transfer another 100,000 from his CPF to her CPF upon the completion of the sale. So upon the completion of the sale, all CPF monies will be refunded to the respective owners, right? Now, the court order, if she has engaged a good solicitor or she has submitted the court order to CPF board. Now, CPF will be ready for the money coming back and there will be a flag already on standby. When they completed the sale, the ex-husband going back to his CPF refund is 200,000. Principal plus accrued interest. But there's a flag that 100K will need to go to the ex-wife. So when CPF receives monies in the OA, about 1 to 2 weeks later, they will transfer the 100K to the ex-wife automatically because they have received the court order. And this is not any court order. This is a high court order, right? So this is super legal and they have to carry out what's instructed as well. So now with the court order being out, we can calculate for the ex-wife now how much is her final budget for purchase, because A, she got her share of the cash proceeds division. B, we already know how much Muta, Ida or this alimony payment she is supposed to receive in cash.
Yeah.
So we got about $85,000 there. Now we know her CPF refund, housing refund, the basic one, principal plus accrued interest.
Yeah.
Now we also know that from the court order that the ex-husband needs to transfer 100,000 into her ordinary account. So we total up everything. Now we have a very clear idea how much she can buy with what cash, with what CPF figures, total up with the husband's transfer.
Yeah.
Does she need a loan at the end of the day? Can she buy without taking any HDB or bank loan? If she needs to buy with a loan, how much do we need to target for and do the application? So hence, I explained to the kakak and then she understood. She understood, oh, okay, now I understand why. Because at that point of time, can calculate. I can layan you. Some people can layan you and just calculate for you. Then there will be a big part B, blank, tak tahu.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
You agree or not?
Yeah, I agree with you. The next question, when doing all these things, right, do you think, is there any difference if the couple or the individual, because want to divorce no longer couple, if the individual, is there any difference if they hire their own lawyer for the divorce case and not hiring their own lawyers?
Oh, okay. To act for the conveyancing.
No.
Then? To act for the divorce?
Yes. For those who engage a lawyer, a lawyer having the knowledge of all the intricacies and selo-belo of divorcing can skew towards, hey, do you know that you can claim for this? Do you know that you can do this and get more for this? Giving a full picture rather than trying to, I just want to go through Mahkamah Syariah.
Or self-represent.
Yeah. Do you think there's the key difference?
I think there's a key difference.
If I'm going to pay a premium to the lawyer, what's in it for me?
Yeah. Number one is a done for you service. At the end of the day, you don't have to go and find out what forms to fill up, by when the deadline, you miss the deadline and all that. There's a one-stop service here. Why some people can act for themselves for their purchase, DIY, and some people still choose to engage an agent. It's the done for you service part. Okay, so they don't have time to go. They're working.
Yeah.
On top of that, they're likely single parents and all that. So like you said just now, they have to protect their work. Their work is their income flow.
Yeah.
They cannot lose their job and focus on the work despite what's going on. So hence, in that sense, they will go and engage a law firm to sort out their divorce. Okay. Number two, someone will believe that, like you mentioned, go hire a professional, right? Someone with proven track record to go and find out the best they can for you, right? So maybe to you, apa-apa je lah, kan? But to them, no, Kak, you actually can fight for this, because you've been paying cash for all the IRP and tong sampah. You have the right to win this back in the sale proceeds.
Interesting.
Yeah, you know, do you have, what form of payment have you been for the IRP and tong sampah? Oh, I've been paying gyro. Okay, let's bring down your bank statement.
So these will directly or indirectly affect your split of the proceeds.
Affect your split of the proceeds. If there's any other things that they can fight for that you are not aware of, that you could have the right to get, I feel that a good lawyer will definitely fight for you your rights and the benefits that you're supposed to get. So in that case, yeah, paying out what's the legal fees now? It is 4,000 to 6,000, I've heard. So don't quote us, we're not law firms, but what we understand, the legal fees for divorce can be about there.
You seen cases where the split is 100 to 0?
Yeah, for sure. 100 goes to ex-wife, right?
On that note, sometimes when I read court orders, I really feel for the ex-husband. Always at a handicap. Always. Either the extreme case of the entirety of your CPF monies. Tak apalah, kesian lah. Give to the ex-wife. And then after that, you never think for yourself. Then you buy what? After this, you what? East Coast Park. You know? And then on top of that, alimony money, maintenance money, blah, blah, blah. All the money. But, you know, people make mistakes at the end of the day, yes.
Yeah, correct.
But what's the end result? What's I just feel that it's a little bit. I don't know, recently it just came to me. I feel for you. I feel for the ex-husband. Lah, you did this or did that. But how are you going to restart? Or is it because of padan muka kau?
No lah. I think, I used to feel that way. Kesian. And I do kesian. Some of them who, like you say, wipe out. They get 0 and the ex-wife get 100%. But when you think about it again, life is not that unfair. Somewhere along those lines, they have done something that the judge awarded the ex-wife 100%. This is not like for nothing, this was awarded, the judge liked the woman more and all that. I find that our legal system is quite fair and thorough and transparent lah.
Because it made me think that the ex-husband, to save money, maybe didn't have a lawyer representing him, so did not fight for his rights. I'm sure he has his own rights. You know, at the very least, the lawyer will say, "Hey, you don't have to do this or you don't have to do that. In fact, this portion don't have to be the full amount, just this small amount only." No, at least he has something to work with after the whole divorce proceedings.
I've done a case whereby the ex-husband took a law firm, a very big name law firm, still got 100 to 0, bro.
Serious
Yeah.
Kurang ajar ni woman.
I don't know. Is it a woman's charter issue? A judge issue? Of course, they say that the judge was not was like a one-sided person or whatever, right? But it's all hearsay, what? We don't have the data, what, or evidence, right? So jangan lah. Don't get swayed away lah. Because we only hear one side of the story. We only met one party.
Yeah.
Alright. You bring this story, you go to the ex-wife, say, kesian your ex-husband dapat 0, awak dapat 100. Mungkin dia cakap dengan kau tak tahu dia pukul aku macam mana. Dah berapa tahun aku bertahan. Nafkah pun tak bagi. Kim, bil semua kakak yang bayar tau. Dia nampak je macam handsome, pakai shirt semua pergi kerja, tapi yang bayar semua kat rumah kakak.
Bro,
mungkin. Bro, kita tak tahu, bro.
Bro, I want to ask you. I flip the coin, okay?
Aku dah flip tadi. Kau reverse Uno balik.
Why men nowadays like this, bro? I embarrassed,
bro.
I embarrassed,
Ini different topic, see.
Please,
why men are like this, these days?
In the context of Singapore, just Singapore lah, in general in Singapore, why? No,
I don't know.
I feel embarrassed, bro.
I met a lot of very responsible men. Maybe it's just my circle, but of course, dengar jugalah. Why that way? I don't know. Is it upbringing?
Upgrading.
Upbringing.
Upgrading. Upgrade wife or what?
I don't know. Bro. No real answer to that.
Like sometimes I feel like, where is your sense of responsibility? You're supposed to provide for the family.
Yeah.
It's actually to a large extent. You cannot depend on your wife.
Yeah.
But oftentimes I see today, the lady is the one playing the extra role. At house I settle, kids I settle, and then I also need to go and work. And then actually I'm paying the lion's share of the expenses of the household bill. But my husband's still looking for a job.
I don't know. All I can attribute is to the industrialization that women have come out to work. They have their own power. They have their own income. In a sense, it's a very good thing. In a sense also, they've lost the respect that the man usually give to the woman. So pada dia macam, for the guy maybe, dia ni dah fikir dia big deal lah, so kasih dia bayar lah. I don't know.
Serious
I don't know. Sorry, don't quote me.
Shouldn't you feel as a man like, no, I got to better this. How can I let, my ego is at stake. This is my marwah,
Common sense is not common, bro. That's the saying. People may not have the same thinking as you. Maybe they find that, alamak, okay lah, kau dah big deal lah, sekarang dah promoted apa, manager apa, kerja office apa, aku baru
Grab. Tak ada cakap.
Ya. Kau cakap apa?
Semua cakap pun tak boleh. Apa cakap boleh?
Boleh cakap lah. Tapi orang akan cakap juga, tak apa lah.
Thank you, Miss Rizdian. Sorry, bro.
It's okay, bro.
Thank you, Mr. Rizdian Esbintara, for sharing with us
you,
all
Hakim
your
Alim.
stories and your experience. I hope, other than the entertainment aspect, I think the viewers are there to appreciate and value the stories that you really shared with them.
Okay.
Till next time, bro. Ciao.
Bye.